Have you ever stopped to think, really think, about what drives people, in the workplace specifically? Why is it that some parts of your job just click? They feel great, fulfilling even, while other parts, well, they just stop you feeling totally miserable.
It's a fundamental question, isn't it? What makes us tick at work? And to help us dig into that today, we're diving deep into the thinking of a real pioneer in motivation theory, Frederick Hertzberg. He's known for some pretty groundbreaking ideas, especially around things like job enrichment and job rotation.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that because our mission today is really to get our heads around Hertzberg's hygiene motivation theory. It sounds a bit complex maybe, but it's this two-factor idea that's, it's deceptively simple but really powerful when you grasp it. Think of this deep dive as maybe a shortcut to understanding what really satisfies you at work.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is where Hertzberg actually did his original research. You might picture, a noisy factory floor, given he was an industrial psychologist. But no, he was in the offices of engineers and accountants. Quiet environment.
Engineers and accountants, really?
Yeah, which makes his findings incredibly relevant right across the board in today's work world, way beyond just manufacturing.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit counterintuitive for some folks. Hertzberg basically said motivation isn't one thing. It's split into two completely separate sets of factors, like two different systems. He called it his two-need system, right? Can you walk us through those?
Absolutely. So on one hand, you've got this basic, almost primal need we all have to avoid unpleasantness, discomfort, pain, essentially. That's one driver.
We're avoiding the bad stuff.
Exactly. But then on the other side of the coin, there's this higher level need, the need for personal growth, for development, for that feeling of accomplishment. And Hertzberg's big argument was if you don't have enough of the things that actively encourage people, what he called the motivators, then people naturally sort of default to focusing on the other stuff, the hygiene factors.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I've got this right for everyone listening. If I'm hearing Hertzberg correctly, the really crucial idea here is that the stuff that truly motivates us, it isn't about the environment around the job, like perks or even salary. He's saying real motivation comes from the inside, from the intrinsic value, the satisfaction you get from the work itself. Is that the core idea?
That's the core idea, absolutely. That's the bombshell. And he called these things motivators, or sometimes satisfiers. These are the elements that actually lead to job satisfaction because they tap into that deep human need for, growth and self-achievement.
So what kind of things are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about things like that pure sense of achievement you get from doing the job well, the intrinsic value of the task, getting recognition, from colleagues, from management, the level of responsibility you're given, real opportunities to advance, even the status that can come with the role. These things are directly tied to feeling satisfied, truly satisfied with your work.
Okay, got it. That's the motivator side, the satisfier. So what about the other side? The dissatisfiers. He called them hygiene factors, which, well, it sounds a bit like cleaning, doesn't it? Like preventing illness rather than promoting health.
That's exactly the analogy he was going for. They're often called maintenance factors too, or dissatisfiers. They lead to dissatisfaction because they connect to the basic need to avoid unpleasantness. And he used the term hygiene quite deliberately, just like, brushing your teeth prevents cavities, but doesn't necessarily make you bubble with joy.
Right, it just stops the toothache.
Precisely. Attending to these hygiene factors prevents dissatisfaction. But, and this is the critical bit people often miss, they do not provide positive motivation on their own. They just stop the negativity. And interestingly, if you lack those positive motivators we just talked about, people tend to really fixate on these hygiene factors. They become the source of all the complaints.
Okay, so these hygiene factors, they're kind of around the job, but not the job itself. Like salary comes up a lot. Everyone thinks, a big raise, that'll motivate me. But Hertzberg's saying, maybe not.
Exactly. Salary is the classic example. A good salary stops you feeling dissatisfied about, being underpaid or worried about bills. It removes pain, but it doesn't necessarily make you love the work you do anymore.
What else falls into this hygiene category?
Oh, quite a few things. Feeling like you're treated fairly compared to others, perceived differences, that kind of thing. Job security, that's a big one. The actual physical working conditions, the quality of your supervision, your manager, company policy and administration, bureaucracy, and even just the quality of your relationships with people at work, your colleagues, your boss.
Wow. Okay. So those things are super important, obviously. If they're bad, you'll be miserable.
Miserable, yes. definitely dissatisfied. But fixing them just gets you to a neutral point, 0 maybe. It doesn't push you into the positive, into feeling genuinely motivated and engaged by the work itself.
So for you listening right now, why does getting this distinction, Hertzberg's seemingly simple but actually quite deep idea, why does it really matter?
Oh, it's incredibly valuable. I mean, whether you're just trying to figure out your own path or maybe improve things where you are now, or especially if you manage other people, understanding this just shifts your whole focus. It stops you chasing maybe the wrong things, the temporary fixes, and helps you concentrate on what really moves the needle, the motivators. It can be a total game changer.
Yeah, what keeps hitting me about Hertzberg is just how clear that difference is between the things that just stop you from quitting in frustration and the things that actually make you want to lean in, achieve more, grow. It's such a powerful reminder that, deep down, that lasting satisfaction, it comes from the work, not just the comfy chair or the paycheck.
And if you think about the practical side, it has huge implications. For managers, yes, but also just for us as individuals thinking about our jobs. Hertzberg's theory immediately points you towards job design. How is the work itself structured? It makes it clear that sometimes, the problem with motivation isn't the work at all. It's often something external to it.
Right. And when managers really get that the stuff dragging people down might be those hygiene factors, the external conditions, rather than the actual tasks. Well, that unlocks huge potential, doesn't it? You start seeing better motivation across the board, more job satisfaction, and that obviously feeds into better performance for the whole organization.
Absolutely. It creates this positive loop. When you understand what people are aiming for, their individual goals, and you combine that with building their skills, giving them opportunities, people start to feel genuinely valued. They learn new things that help them and the organization. And, improving skills, creating opportunities, boosting knowledge in the long run, that massively increases the value of a company's, its human assets.
And maybe the biggest one of all, when you focus on those intrinsic motivators while also making sure the hygiene factors are, taken care of, you build real commitment, real understanding, loyalty even. It's about getting people to a place where they're not just turning up, but they're genuinely plugged in and thriving.
So thinking about everything we've discussed from Hertzberg today, here's something to mull over. How could you intentionally redesign not just the environment where you work, but the actual work itself to unlock those deeper levels of achievement and personal growth for yourself, maybe, or for the people you work with?